Spitfire Girls is the rep in Birmingham from the 16th through to the 21st of June, inspired by the extraordinary true stories of women who dared to fly during World War II. To tell us more, I'm joined now by Kirsty Cox. Good afternoon.
Hello. Hi.
How you doing?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good too, thank you. So tell us a bit about this
Yeah.
production and your part in it, please.
Spitfire Girls is an amazing new play, and it's sort of heralding the fabulous and just phenomenal bravery and work that the women of the Air Transport Auxiliary did during World War II. It's sort of um, telling the story of these women, and they ferried aircraft around the country during World War II to kind of keep things moving. So they ferried the airplanes from the factories to the sort of air bases. And I play two different characters in the play. I play the commanding officer of the airbase, and then also one of the pilots called Joy. So yeah.
Yeah, and they weren't flying into conflict in most cases, were they?
No, they weren't flying into conflict, but they flew in very difficult and very challenging conditions. So they weren't able to fly with any instruments. Or any navigation. So they sort of had to look at maps beforehand and then sort of fly by looking for landmarks on the ground. So they had to fly below the clouds and they had to avoid barrage balloons. And they really did fly in very challenging conditions. And although they didn't fly into conflict, several of the Air Transport Auxiliary which also included men who weren't able to be conscripted, they did lose their lives during the war due to the work that they were doing. It was
Hmm.
phenomenal work.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, you've got a situation whereby the Luftwaffe could have been heading your way anyway, so you were never sure whether or not you were going to be
Absolutely.
safe in the air.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, and the other phenomenal thing was that they would, after their training, their initial training, they would fly any sort of aircraft. So they flew up about 140 different types of planes, and often they wouldn't, they'd just be given some basic information before they got in. They had a ferry pilot's handbook that was like a little blue book, and it had the sort of basics about what was different for each plane. But they
Mhm.
would get in a plane and just fly it straight away, having not been trained in that aircraft particularly. So they were flying, yeah, most of the people who flew into battle, they were only flying one particular aircraft, but the ATA flew everything. So they were flying Wellington bombers, they flew Spitfires, they flew Hurricanes, they flew Seafires, Swordfish, everything.
And where were they flying from? Because is it what is now Birmingham International Airport?
Well, they were flying from different air bases, so I'm not sure what the nearest one would have been for Birmingham. But the base the story that we tell is happens at is called Hamble, which is near to Southampton,
Hmm.
which was an all female air base. So there were bases all around the country, up in Scotland, in Northern Ireland. And all over, so there would have been one, yeah, near to Birmingham, but there was one particular one that was all female, which was down in Hamble. So that's where our pilots in this story are based.
And this is obviously an important story to remember. Obviously, this is a fictionalized version of it, but based on true life. But also, I mean, the fun and the camaraderie that's part of this is very much a reflection of what would have got people through these darkest of times.
Absolutely, and I think that comes through so well in this play is the camaraderie and the bond between these women. So the story of the play starts with two women who'd been based at Hamble during the war being reunited, and then kind of we go back in time and sort of see their relationship and yeah, the abs they obviously had huge adventures as well as it being, I'm sure terrifying at times and hugely hard work. They also, talked about how fabulous it was to fly and to be given this opportunity because of the war, because women weren't given that opportunity before to fly aircraft like that. And the other amazing thing was that during the war they were given equal pay as the men. It was, so they had this huge opportunity to kind of have equality for that time, which was phenomenal. And then we just sort of, it's so important to herald these stories. And yet then it seems like after that we went backwards a bit, but we're
Hmm.
kind of getting back there again now.
Working on it. I mean, the thing is, we're still not quite there. That's the scary part, isn't it?
No,
In conflict, when they're
exactly.
doing a difficult and a desperately important job.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's been so wonderful, especially this last week recently when we were having the sort of this extra celebrations for the 80th anniversary of VE Day. That's been so special to be able to tell this story. And it happens so often at the theatres as we tour around the country of people coming up to us afterwards and saying, I had no idea that these women did this. And there's so many untold stories during the war. And if we can just sort of highlight them and tell their the amazing bravery that these women and the other members of the air transport auxiliary had. It's a very special thing to do. I feel very honoured to be able to do it.
And but bringing to life these characters, it's an honor for us to know that this is going on, see it on stage, and realize that it is part of what is an amazing history of this nation, and that so many have given so much to get us to where we are today and beyond. So it is important these stories are recognised, which is absolutely fantastic. The box office is 012 123644455 birmingham-rep.co.uk to grab your tickets that way, and of course it was nip in and pick them up over the counter if you wanted to. But certainly, this is a story which is absolutely worth telling, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I mean, there's a lot of laughter. There's a lot of emotions in the play. And there's amazing moments of sort of flight, beautiful music, projections. It's a real, as well as being an amazing story, it's a beautiful theatrical production. So
Well, it's all set around New Year's Eve in 1959 as they get back together to reminisce about their time in the air and playing joy. As that sort of things. I'm sure that there will be it will be a bit of a lift, won't it, for you? I think as well. And yeah, just be able to share a glimpse into these lives must be amazing.
yeah, it's brilliant. And yeah, there's a lot of fun. There's a lot of banter in the scenes between the sort of the pilots. And then I also get said to play the commanding officer who's sort of in charge of all these women. And it's a real privilege to tell their story and to kind of herald the work that they did.
Well, break a leg. Have a brilliant time with the show. It is at the
Thank
Rep
you
in
very
Birmingham from
much.
the 16th to the 21st of June. Kirsty Cox, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.